All right, good morning, Lagos. Good morning, everyone. This is Follow the Money brought to you by Nairametrics. My name is Ugo Dre, and we do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30 on this channel. Of course, you can catch this particular episode on our Nairametrics YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and just search for Nairametrics. Follow the Money, and you get me in the studio live taping this particular episode. All right, what a week it's been. By the way, today is January 20th. You know what that means, right? That is official inauguration for a new American president. Well, I don't know what to call him new, but I mean, it's new. Donald Trump takes over today. His second term starts today. And of course, Joe Biden's era is over officially. So we have the Republicans in power. That obviously means a whole lot. I kind of think the world is going to change over the next 4 years. It's going to be a completely different world from what we knew 4 years ago. So whether it's financial markets, whether it's macroeconomic issues, whether it's social politics, it's going to be entirely sweeping change. And this could have a lot of effects on Nigeria. I'm going to break this down on my money brief. If you haven't heard of Money Brief by Nairametrics, you probably want to check that out. It's on our YouTube channel. I tend to break down a lot of complex things there. Just not too much of your time, just 10, 15 minutes breaking down stuff. So I'm going to be looking at Donald Trump presidency and what it means for Nigeria on this week's Money Brief. All right, we're going to talk about Donald Trump later on the show, though. But for now, let's just move straight to the stock market. Of course, this is the show first about the capital markets. And so we'll start with the Nigerian stock market last week. Ended the week ending November 17 on a notable downturn. Losses across, particularly the industrial goods sector and the insurance sector as well. The all share index shed about 2.94% decline from the week before, closing at about 105,451 points. So this basically is the first loss that the NGX has recorded in about 6 weeks. So we've had like a streak of 6 weeks where we've been reporting incredible gains, but looks like we're having some kind of correction. Is it a temporary correction or is it a permanent one, or is it just a blip? I don't know, but looks like we're having some kind of correction, and I don't know if it's going to be protracted or if it's just last week alone. But the market seems to have taken some profits off the table, and so we had that as well. Funny enough, we also saw market activity decline as well during the week. Trading volumes fell 38% to 2.2 billion shares compared to 3.6 billion shares per week. So again, one of the things you got to look at with stocks is if you have a general market decline or share price decline or index decline that coincides with decline in volume, then that is usually not a very good sign, right? Yeah. So we had a decline in volume by a whopping 38%. And so, no surprises, market capitalization retreated to 62.8 trillion from 64 trillion the previous week. So, stock market lost over 2 trillion or there. Oh, well, just slightly less than 2 trillion at the end of last week. So, about 1.8 or so trillion naira was wiped out completely from the stock market. So, we did have, as expected, 57 stocks that lost. That's declines. They were all posted declines. And then we had 39 stocks that posted gains. So you had more losers than gainers last week. So the key highlights of the week, of course, were NGX Premium, which is like the index for the big boys. They shed 7% last week. And the funny thing is that when the premium index sheds this much, it's pretty obvious that the entire NGX index would basically fall. And so NGX Premium Index fell, led by Dangote Cement, which fell by 16%. I tend to like this sort of drop sometimes because when stocks fall like this, it's probably an opportunity to, get in. I'm going to be talking about my stock picks later on this show. You don't want to miss that. I have three stocks that I'm looking at. They're on my radar, and you want to know why they're on my radar. All right, so we'll go on. We also had additional declines as well. MTN declined, FBNH declined, Access Corp also declined as well during the week. And so the NGX 30 index, which is the index for the 30 most capitalized stocks, fell 3%. So it was widespread. The negative sentiments across the markets was entirely widespread. And so you had losses across board, even though we did still have some gainers, which I'm going to go through right away. So on the gainers chart, coming in at the 10th position was UACN. UACN gained 12.5%. Incredible stuff that is going on in that company. They've been on a turnaround mission for the last 3, 4, 5 years, and looks like it's panning out well for UACN. I should do a deep dive on this company on one of these episodes of Follow the Money. University Press up next at 13.48% gain, and then Owando 14.8% gain as well. There's some big news on Owando over the weekend. CAP PLC up 15.79%, and Nascon Allied Industries also up 15.8% to round off the bottom five of the top 10 gainers during the week. Of course, Dangote Sugar Refinery also up 16.6%, 38 naira 50 kobo. Livestock feeds also up 17.6%. We also have Northern Nigeria flour mills up 19.5%. Trying to figure out why Northern Nigeria flour mills is climbing. That's some impressive gains there. Of course, Square Nigeria PLC, a penny stock, up 20%. And then Nemeth, the pharmaceutical company, up a whopping 31% last week. So those were the top 10 major gainers. And as you can see, the highest gainer during the week was 31.4%. Compare that to the week before, the highest gainer, which was Multiverse, did gain 53.4% last week. And what's interesting is that most of the top gainers last week didn't show up this week, except for University Press. So University Press has come back, recorded back-to-back gains, end of the week gains. Beg your pardon. So top losers last week, we did have Tantalizers down 12.6%. Looks like the honeymoon period is getting over for Tantalizers. ABC, that's a bus company, bus transport company. I'm sure you're wondering, this company is still there? Yep, they're still there, still listed on the exchange, down 13% last week. Len Africa also down, Cornerstone Insurance down, Dark Communications down 15.9%. Dangote Cement, like I mentioned earlier, also down 16.4%. Sovereign Trust down, but the highest loser was Unique. That's Universal Insurance PLC, down 19.2% during the week. Funny enough, they did announce, I think, a new CEO or so during the week. So looks like the market didn't really like that news. So the share price fell off completely, 9.2%. So that basically is a roundup for stocks during the week. So looks like we had some kind of correction last week. I'm interested to see how this week pans out. And so maybe I'll just probably just segue right into my stock picks this week before I got into some of the other things that happened, during the week that I want to talk about. So I have a couple of stocks that have been on my radar since January, and got reasons why I've had the stocks on my radar. So the first stock on my radar is actually Nestle. I'm sure you're wondering, why is Nestle on Go's radar, by the way. So I kind of like the company. Nestle has had its own share of issues over the last 1 year with exchange rate challenges. If you all recall, Nestle was one of those stocks that posted significant losses during the year because of exchange rate depreciation. So that essentially wiped out their shareholders' funds, and so they had to do a number of things like essentially fix their balance sheet by revaluing some of their assets, even though that really wasn't enough because they still had balance sheet related issues. And then looks like they might at some point need to raise some capital just so that they can essentially cope with their balance sheet, their capital structure. And so that raise, I think, is likely going to happen sometime this year. I thought it was going to happen last year, but it didn't happen last year. Likely going to happen this year. So, but despite all the issues, Nestle hasn't actually been a very bad stock when it comes to their performance. And you want to look at the performance from an operating point of view, operating profit point of view. And from an operating profit point of view, last year, in the first 9 months of last year, Nestle had already done 110 billion naira in terms of operating profit. Revenue alone for Nestle last year, this is 9 months, so 665.2 billion, more than the 547 billion they did the whole of 2023. So, in terms of the core business itself, they seem to be doing pretty well. Where they're having challenges is the balance sheet that has been decimated, shareholders' funds that have been decimated because of exchange rate pressures. But that kind of leaves the door open for an opportunity. So Nestle's share price kind of, closed at around, I think, 875 or so last week. At some point, it did rise to over 800 to almost 900 before it fell back to about 875. But this is a stock that, you know, probably has a fair value going by some of the stats that I have here, perhaps maybe around 970. Its 52-week range, that is the share price range, is between 786 and 1150. So imagine this stock was 786 at some point as well. So it's firmly on my radar. I have a particular price point in mind that I want to get in. If it does fall to that price point, I might get in. But 875 doesn't also look like a bad price as well. So Nestle firmly on my radar. Of course, this is not an investment advice. You want to do your own homework as well. This is just me giving up my own opinion. And the next stock that I also have firmly on my radar is MTN. Also pretty similar to Nestle in terms of the same challenges. So MTN also had its balance sheet wiped out effectively because of exchange rate issues. And so that affected them terribly last year. But we all know that's the largest telco in Nigeria, in fact, the largest in Africa. And so you always think that they're going to have a way to get around this. And this is a company that before now tends to give you 90+% return on equity. I mean, that is unbeatable. So essentially, they make money by using debt. Like they just borrow and then they use that money to return huge numbers. But they had that challenge last year because of exchange rate depreciation. I kind of feel like this is the year where they tend to sort that issue out. And if they do sort it out, it's going to be a windfall for people who own those shares. Again, just like Nestle, if you look at operating profit, I like that number a lot because it doesn't take into consideration debt, which of course I understand is a real cost, but kind of shows you the intrinsic value of the company's operations. And so MTN had 475.3 billion last year in terms of operating profit. And so this was the first 9 months of last year compared to 773.6 billion, which they did the whole of 2023. In terms of revenue, MTN's revenue for the first 9 months of last year was, guess what, 2.3 whopping trillion. That is just extremely mad. And mind you, telcos are likely going to have what they've always been craving for the last few years. Tariff increases happened this year, so that will filter in into their top line. And I think that is also going to help repair some of the issues they have with their balance sheet. So that firmly put Nestle, why do I keep saying Nestle? MTN on my radar, and MTN is currently trading at about 233 naira per share. Funny enough, I tried to get this stock last week at the price point that I wanted, but I couldn't get it. So I'm actually rooting for it to fall, because if it does fall, then it kind of falls into my price point and I can buy it. But MTN looks like a good buy for me, and so that is why it is on my radar. So those are the two stocks. If you want to find out which other stocks I'm buying, just follow the money on Nairametrics, subscribe to our newsletter, and then you can see some of the other stocks that we have on our radar. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about treasury bills, fixed income securities, and a whole lot of other investments that, who knows, might help you make money. This is Follow the Money. All right, welcome back. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. I remain Ugo Dre. So we do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30 on this station. Of course, you can catch a recorded version on Nairametrics YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Nairametrics, and then scroll down and you see Follow the Money. And then you can see this particular episode and previous ones where we break down important financial stuff. All we're doing is just showing you how to make money. This is 2025. All right, so we go right into the second half of the show. We start with the First Bank saga. I'm sure some of you guys have been following this for the last few days. I mean, kind of started last 2 weeks. So the saga between First Bank and General Hydrocarbons, and on one side, Barbican Capital. So First Bank did issue a press release last week, and that's why we're talking about it here, because they are a quoted company. They're on the Nigerian stock market, and so investors want to know what exactly is going on. They did say that the ongoing legal issue, doesn't really affect operations in the bank, so they're all fine. And so shareholders' funds are protected, depositors' funds are protected. That's what they said, and that whatever it is that is happening is sub judice in the courts, and so we shouldn't be worried. I did break down this saga. It's a lot of people who wanted to know what exactly was going on. If you want to find out what the tea is, like the backstory, just go to Nairametrics YouTube channel and you search for one of our shows called In Good Company, and you would see us breaking down what exactly it happened. Interesting stuff. You might want to check it out. We move on to the next story here. Donald Trump. Yeah, I said it earlier that Donald Trump was coming back today. Officially, he's the president of the United States of America. In case you don't know that, better know that now. Ushering in a new era completely. And from what I heard he wants to shoot out a lot of executive orders today. So they had a long list of executive orders they're going to shoot out. Interesting thing is that one of the first one is to probably even bring back TikTok, which of course came back yesterday after they went out last night. They went out on Sunday, so they are back today. I beg your pardon. So, but that's not why Trump is on Follow the Money today. Trump is on Follow the Money today because, in case you don't know, he launched a meme coin last week. Can you imagine that? He launched a meme coin last week. So meme coins essentially are just, coins that people just create just to depict something that you like. And so he launched his official meme coin called Trump. He declared it on his social media handle, which is Truth Social. And then you can buy it on Trump's homepage. So it's kind of strange that the president is basically catching in on this cryptocurrency, craze. You know what I mean? So he now launched his meme coin, and guess what? It's been to the moon. Like the coin, I think at some point surge hitting $20. I don't know what it is this morning. I haven't checked, and the market value was about $21 billion. So I'm sure you're wondering what the heck is meme coin, man, and why are people buying it? It could be anything. So if your name is Shade or Wale or Ifine, you can just create a meme coin, Ifine. And if you have a real huge following, people can just buy your meme coin. So it's almost like a memorabilia or whatever, or just something that you just buy and just keep, and then it just has value at some point. So I've always said, like, people tend to look at cryptocurrency as some crazy stuff. I'm like, this thing is just a store of value. It's the same way you buy gold and then you think that is expensive, or the same way you buy a Birkin bag or some of these expensive bags and then you keep, even though the real intrinsic value of the bag is less than the amount you paid for it. But what you're paying for is essentially the brand and the fact that human beings associate some kind of sentiment to that asset. That's basically what this meme coin thing looks like. And so Trump fans obviously might want to own those meme coins as part of their solidarity to the coin itself, or to Trump himself, or to the Trump philosophy itself. And so they're buying, and the share price has been going up. Of course, cryptocurrency fans love things like this. And I don't know, he claims that it's not political, it's got nothing to do with anything, politics. It is just for his fans or for lovers of meme coins or for cryptocurrency. So it's been going up, and you got to be careful. Meme coins do crash a lot because again, it's usually associated with sentimental value. So when people start to buy, they buy it because they just want to run up the price at some point, and then the price would always find its level, and that could be associated with it crashing down. And so but for now, that's the craze out there. So Donald Trump presidency starting out with a blast with his own meme coin. If you want to check out more about it, just go online and check. It's called the Trump meme coin. I'm not saying you should buy it though, but I mean, if you're a Trump lover, you might want to check that out. Now, we move on to commercial paper. So MTN did sell commercial papers last week. It's so basically completing its Series 15, 16 of its commercial paper issuance, and where they raised about 42.2 billion. And so typically companies do commercial papers to fund short-term liquidity, and it's pretty much fine, even though it's a debt. So they did also had successfully done Series 13 and Series 14. So MTN has been very, very active when it comes to the commercial paper market, and they're one of the most lucrative out there. And so interest rates were pretty high. From what we saw, yields for the 15 and 16 offering were as high as 27.5% for the 181-day paper and 29% for the 270-day paper. You guys can see that people are cleaning out. So that's how much money you make, 29% in 1 year. I know it's lower than inflation, but if you consider that inflation might drop this year, that is not such a bad deal, is it? And that's not the only thing that is out there. So in case you've missed out on MTN, FGM bonds, the federal government said they're going to do about 1.8 trillion in the first quarter of this year. That's FGM bonds alone, and that is according to the DMO. And from what we're seeing, the bond calendar reopened at about 19.3% for the April 2029 bond. So 18.5% for the 2031 bond. Quite lower than, of course, commercial papers, because commercial papers are short-term instruments and they tend to attract higher yields. But MGF bonds are, of course, risk-free, and that is why you have the interest rate about 90%. But that is still an interesting return, isn't it? 19%. If you put 10 million naira there, they give you 1.9 million or thereabout, and that is purely risk-free. Of course, the DMO also announced a subscription window for the FGN savings bond. That is for regular people to buy. And then they did mention that the savings bond, so the 2 year savings bond maturing 2027 is going to be going for 17.2%, and a 3 year one is going to be going for 18.2%. So you can buy these bonds with as little as 1,000 naira, but the minimum subscription level is 5,000. So in multiples of 1,000, I beg your pardon. So if you have 5,000 naira, you can buy those bonds. They're basically retail inclined bonds that you can buy. So Treasury bills was also sold last week, I believe. We saw results come out last week, yields at around 26% or thereabout. So there are a lot of fixed income securities that are out there. For those who might want to invest in fixed income securities, I did mention this on one of my money briefs that you can get on our Metrics channel. You can check it out. I did mention investments that you probably want to look at this year, and so as expected, treasury bills, FGN saving bonds, euro bonds are one of those ones you want to pay attention to, because if you have loose cash and you're looking for where to invest them, these are the kind of investments that you can make, of course, aside from investing in stocks. By the way, I just got news that Trump coin that I talked about earlier, guess what? Lost 6 billion in market value as at this morning. I told you guys, that's the thing with meme coins. They go up, they go down. It's almost like a yo-yo. So if you're somebody who has the adrenaline, if you've got adrenaline for risk, you like to take some kind of risk, then perhaps that is one of the things that you might want to look at. You might want to take an advantage of meme coins. But if you don't like risk like me, I don't like that kind of risk. So I'm not going to do that. Bitcoins, by the way, crossed $100,000 for one at some point last week, which is not a bad deal for investors of the bitcoins. But I typically don't want to do any Bitcoin at the moment because I think that the price is pretty just high. I think it needs to fall a little bit more before there are opportunities to get in. For those who get confused again, you got to look at Bitcoin as a store of value and not a currency. Even though it was initially designed to be a currency, but I don't think it's a currency. I think it's just a store of value, just like diamond, just like gold, or just like anything, even art, just painting that you have. They're all store of values. So the value is derived from our sentiments, what we think or how we feel about it. That's how these things are. And so that is follow the money for this week. I did hope that you got some of the nuggets that we shared. Of course, you can go to our YouTube channel, Nairametrics, and then you can see a whole lot of financial content for you to chew on. And of course, remember, we're in a world where you can just stream and watch whenever you like, not when you like, anytime you like, wherever, however, and no matter how comfortable you want to be. You can always watch and stream these things. A whole lot of information that you have to chew on this year. Information is power, so don't miss out on that. This has been Follow the Money this week, brought to you by Nairametrics in partnership with the UBA. I am Enugu Dre, and until we do this again, do have a profitable week ahead. Goodbye.